Welcome to Between the Lines. We are finally rolling, and we're continuing our AI session here, and we're learning a lot. And we're going to talk today with Joe Hoagland, who worked for TVA for 32 years. If I'd known that, I would have called Don Moe and got some background and stuff, but I'm okay on that. We're going to talk to him a little bit about Oak Ridge National Laboratory's involvement with AI and what they're doing. They're an industry leader. Obviously, we're in the corridor here with more and more companies coming here. We want to know what the applications are. I mean, obviously, design is a major application for AI and some other things. But first, let's talk about you a little bit. You grew up in Utah.
I grew up southern Utah.
Beautiful. Yeah. Beautiful out there.
Yeah,
I've
great.
been there a few times. Oof.
Grand Canyon was my backyard.
Yep.
So I had a great time there.
How long did it take you to get from your house to the Grand Canyon?
Well, about an hour and a half.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
Take off a Saturday morning.
Did a lot of hiking, a lot of camping.
Okay.
There was actually nobody there back when I was going because it wasn't the big tourist attraction that it is now. So we had a great time.
What was the town you grew up in southern?
Cedar City.
Okay.
Southern Utah University was there, which is where I did my undergraduates and study. And I'm a chemist by training. Went to Washington State for a doctorate degree.
Yeah.
And then ended up down here, actually in Alabama first. I worked for TVA at their fertilizer plants when I first
So
got
I do
here.
my math right, you got here in the late 80s, early 90s?
Early 90s.
Okay.
Yeah. Worked in Muscle Shoals, North Alabama for about 11 years.
Okay.
And then kind of branched out into the larger part of the energy side of the company and worked in Chattanooga for a while, Knoxville, been in Knoxville now about 25 years. Been in energy research and R&D and energy operations for most of that time.
So Don he came out of Pittsburgh, and we got other people. How does a southern Utah chemist end up in AI? There's a good question.
That is a good question.
Yeah.
Well, I think partly I'm a scientist, so I've always been curious, right? I was the scientist at TVA for a long time, and trying to figure out how to get a power company to think about new technologies. How do we implement them? And so very broad background in looking at a bunch of different things. As the computers have evolved over time, right, and the things and the capabilities they can do, they've been heavily involved in a lot of our work. You know, before AI was AI, there was, figuring out how you do model simulation. How do you run models for predicting things? A perfect example is TVA's Integrated Resource Plan, right? I ran that for a number of different times. And while it's not AI driven, it's using very sophisticated models to project 30, 40, 50 years in the future, right? What things would be like. Then, of course, getting the opportunity to come to the laboratory, you get to see they are doing cutting edge AI, right? And getting involved and seeing what they're doing and being involved in some of their work. I think also in our R&D space, when I was at TVA, we helped pioneer some of the work that's many of these startup nuclear companies are using, where we were creating digital twins of reactor cores.
I've been involved in digital twin work.
Yeah, so we're really trying to show
it's cutting edge.
Yeah, and how does that reactor really work, right? How does all the physics and everything really work so engineers and operators can make sure they stay safe, they operate well, they operate efficiently, those kinds of things. And so I was heavily involved in that before I even got to the lab.
Yeah.
And now the lab has taken those concepts and taken them to a whole nother level.
Yeah, and we're going to come back to the applications of new reactors and other things, and I want to talk a little bit about the application later of maybe HALEU and low energy and all kinds of different things that you can use it on. I've been to some dinners, mostly fundraising type dinners for charity, that basically I sit with somebody who's the president of this, and they talk about with me one-on-one about some of the innovations and what they think is going to work and stuff. Let me ask, I'm trying to think back. Let's talk about, we know the first time a television signal went out. We know the first time a radio came out of KDKA in Pittsburgh or something else, any of those kind of things. Give me a year and call it the birth of AI. Just a rough guess on a year, 07, 08?
No, I mean, reality is AI has been around a long time, like decades.
Okay.
people
See, nobody knows that. That's a good thing.
people I think even coming out of when computers were first designed were that they were already thinking about how should AI work, right? How do you make a computer an artificial intelligence, right? That's been around since the beginning. The trick is that's a really complicated problem, not only in terms of the way you have to think about the problem, but in the terms of the hardware to really do something that's real and effective.
So the technology had to catch up a little bit with the
Absolutely.
concept. I
Yeah.
got it. Okay. All right. So we knew we could do these things. It's kind of like having a phone that's this big. You know
Yeah.
it's going to work, but really everybody can't carry one, right?
No, I mean, Oak Ridge, I think, has led the way in trying to make the technology become sophisticated enough to actually work on the kinds of problems and the things that AI could really contribute to in a productive way, right? So you think about the supercomputers that
I was getting come back to that. Yeah.
yeah, so the supercomputers that were developed at Oak Ridge National Lab set the standard on how large-scale computing can do, how fast you can compute. Because you think about an AI, I mean, Chat GPT, right?
Yeah.
You want to have a conversation with it, right? Well, to have
Not
a
really.
conversation.
I just want my
Some
information.
people want to have a
Oh,
conversation.
I mean, I was yelling at my cat today for being in the door, and she said, "What did Emily do wrong?" I mean, you got to turn it off every time, right? Or you got to turn it on. It's scary.
Well, okay, you want your information, but you want it like right now, right?
As quick as can. Yeah.
That's right. So if you asked it that information and you had to wait 20 minutes for it to come on,
Yeah.
right? You wouldn't be very interested.
It's still better than me researching it, but
Well,
you're right. I mean,
So
I got
so
it.
you had to have the sophisticated, the speed, the size of the computers we have nowadays. So when you ask it that question, it can answer it
Quick.
instantly, right?
Almost, yeah.
But there's a
14
huge,
sources or something in there.
huge amount of hardware network that's behind all of that makes
I'm
all
sure.
that happen.
And I'm just at that point where I'm old fashioned. Says I know that everything that I say or I ask or I do, Elon Musk has got a factory somewhere that's putting all that information. Now, nothing I do is that exciting, but I do a lot of nuclear and political and energy work and a little bit of defense, a little bit. But I mean, just so you don't want everything you're saying going to somebody.
Well,
But you're in trouble there. You just got to surrender it, right?
yeah, I think the idea of privacy, maybe the way we used to think about it,
Yeah.
it's probably gone. If it's out in the electronic world, somebody's
It probably
got
has been for a while.
Some AI is being trained by it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, just I don't have anything that wonderful, so I don't worry about it too much. So you got AI has always been there. When did the machine? Let's change the question. When did the machines start catching up? The technology catching up, so that we could do some of this AI and program it to do things that we've never been able. Was it a gradual onslaught for 20 years, or was it we had a breakthrough here? ORNL being a leader in this area, which I don't think anybody knows ORNL's a leader in AI outside of the industry. Like if you go down to this suburb down here, or this they know you're in supercomputing. It's in the
Yeah.
media all the time. But I don't think they know a lot about your role in AI, which makes sense because you've already tied computing to AI pretty
Yeah.
well, you know?
I think there's a bit of a gradual path, but personally, I think probably in the late early 90s when IBM and Apple Computer, right, first came out with that first desktop. You
Yep.
probably remember those.
I had one of those.
Yeah. At that point, industry was now really taking over. It was no longer a sort of government activity that was done in some back office. We were all starting to do it, right? We all got our computers. And that really drove innovation because so many people wanted so many things. People could see so much potential. Businesses could see where computers could really help them. And so that really drove the hardware technology to pick up speed. How do I make computers faster?
Like anything, we had a broader base of usage,
Yeah.
which made the investment worthwhile.
But I mean, you probably remember those little floppy disks, right?
I remember everything. I'm 100.
Well, okay. So those things weren't very useful, right? I mean,
They didn't break though, but I didn't.
They didn't
like 'em.
break.
I didn't like them.
but so
Had your little
data,
box on the shelf.
Yeah,
you
that's
put them out
right.
and you
So-
stuck them in there.
so data, right? We needed to go from that kind of data to being able to store tons of data, which drove innovation in storage, right? All of that continued to build, and the national labs, Oak Ridge in particular, was involved in a lot of that. they kind of took the next step and said, how do we create an exascale computer, so something really big that can solve really complicated problems, right? And so the way they started thinking about it is, how do I take all those little desktops like we had, and how do I hook them together? And how do I hook them together so then they can talk to one another, they can calculate together, they can store data together? And, what evolved out of that was what we see as these supercomputers. Then a really interesting thing happened when, as Oak Ridge was trying to think about, how do I do this better, right? How do I get faster? Everything was centered around what they called the CPU, which is the brains, right? The computer chip. But there's a limit in the density from the design of the way those chips work.
Right.
Well, there was an interesting little video game company called NVIDIA, right? That they weren't so much interested in the computing power. What they wanted
And they are
was,
modelers. They have brought
well, they wanted super graphics, right?
Yeah.
That was part of the video game.
Sure.
But those graphics devices were much better at calculating a lot more, a lot faster. So Oak Ridge brought NVIDIA in. They worked together. They figured out, how could I make what they called a GPU? How do I actually make that work in a computer? And that turned out to be the supercomputer called Summit that Oak Ridge fielded. But that actually then created the foundation for which now NVIDIA, which is the largest company in the world, has built their base.
It's funny,
for their
and the
business.
others are Apple and these other people who were all in that same original group, et cetera, and building it up. I'm going to talk in a minute. We got to go to break in a minute, and we'll do a little bit more of that. First, tell me, I forgot to ask you. You've lived here, got children, grandchildren, everywhere?
Yep.
Southern Utah, everywhere?
No, well, I got kids here. I actually have one daughter that builds power plants, and she's all over the country.
No, that's fantastic.
We've got 5 grandchildren, and they're kind of scattered all over the place.
You've done good. That's great. That's an example. Let's go to an ad, and we'll be right back to talk about a little bit more about ORNL and the supercomputer's influence.
At ORNL, innovation starts with discovery. From the smallest particles to the most powerful computers, we explore the unknown to unlock what's possible. We lead in quantum science, artificial intelligence, and fusion energy, turning bold ideas into emerging technologies that meet American priorities. Because when discovery drives innovation, the future takes shape at ORNL.
America runs on power, and for nuclear power, we need enriched uranium, but almost all of it comes from overseas. In 2019, the Trump administration took action, working with Centrus to build the first new American-owned uranium enrichment plant in 70 years. And now, Centrus is ready to expand to meet our nuclear power and military needs, free from dependence on foreign suppliers. Centrus, American technology built by American workers.
This is Joe Hoagland, President of Waste Management at Energy Solutions. Nuclear power is on the rise. Energy Solutions is part of this transition and part of the solution, delivering comprehensive services and assets that support the entire nuclear life cycle. Energy Solutions is protecting and preserving the environment for generations to come.
From Oak Ridge, Tennessee, IB3 Global Solutions conducts operations around the world to enhance the U.S. national security posture and minimize radiological and nuclear threats. IB3 Global Solutions. Mission first.
At Navarro, we partner with our clients to advance technologies and deliver effective solutions for complex challenges in the nuclear, environmental, and clean energy fields.
Josh Anderson is a Republican who has fought for families across Anderson County throughout his adult life. Josh is a farmer, a husband, and a father. For 4 generations, his family has lived in Anderson County. A graduate of the University of Tennessee, Josh has served on the Anderson County Commission for 7 years and served as chairman for 3 years. Josh is a businessman who will put his experience to work for all of us. A supporter of term limits, Josh believes 2 terms as mayor is enough. Josh Anderson believes leadership starts with listening.
Feeling overwhelmed with your business finances? At P&L Business Services, we handle all your bookkeeping, payroll, and tax needs. From federal tax returns to QuickBooks training, we've got you covered. With over 25 years of experience, we provide customized packages to fit your business. Focus on what you love most, building your business. Let us take care of the rest. Call 865-294-4792. P&L Business Services, empowering you to grow your business.
Welcome back to Between the Lines. We're talking with Joe Hoagland of Oak Ridge National Laboratory. You know, my father worked there. In 43, he came here as a radioisotope type pioneer, and they recruited him down here. He'd gone to Rhode Island and other places and worked here until he fell through the office door on O&L in 1979, so 34 or 5 years.
Yep.
And radioisotopes was kind of the cutting edge in those days, in the 40s and 50s, and he enjoyed his work. It was good. So Oak Ridge National Laboratory has been a stalwart. You know, I'm a good Republican consultant, but I always took pride in the fact that Barack Obama mentioned ORNL in his 2012 State of the Union, all the work they were doing. And I think it's great. So let's go back and let's talk a little bit. Now, we have these supercomputers. It's 2000s, early 2000s. We're going faster and faster.
Yeah.
The Chinese are number one. We're number one. The Chinese are number one. ORNL's number one. And we've had a couple of them, a couple of different names of those computers. They flip around. It's hard to remember which one's which year, but when they evolved into a different brand or different, I guess as they advance, they got new names. Is my guess.
Yeah, the new names. The architecture's a little different. They're trying to make them bigger. They're trying to make them faster, right?
Do they have to be bigger to be faster?
That has been the tradition, yes,
Yeah.
but that's changing.
And what is that? Why the big more capacity for?
Yeah. Think about what I said a minute ago about, what you're really doing is taking all those little, like our individual computers, and you're hooking them all together. Mm-hmm. So the more you can hook together, the more you can compute, the faster you can compute. We've kind of reached the point where I won't say it's limited, but that's probably not the way forward. So what the lab actually is now trying to do, working with companies, that are here in the Valley and nationally, is how do we now make that even more fast? How do we now engage a deeper, more sophisticated AI? And how do we solve a lot more complicated problems? And so there's a lot of talk now and a lot of work being done in what they call a hybrid computer. So I got that supercomputer, I got an AI, and then I got a thing called a quantum computer, which is fast, and it's really hard to explain, but it solves really complicated problems.
Well, I'm sure now has a few quantum physicists out there that probably can answer those questions.
Yes.
Right? I mean, that's where we're at, more than a general administration overview. Explain to me, I've been through this with Congressman Flashman and others in my company. I mean, we have one, you got Orano over here trying to get in. You got other companies coming in. You've got different types of technology. BWXT's building another building. You got all these people. How does ORNL enable those people? Or we'll just say enable the mission, because that's the language we're used to. How do they enable the mission? Do I come in and get a ticket and come out to ORNL and say, here, give me some AI? I mean, do I come out? Are there other reasons? I mean, why is ORNL? And I know I helped recruit a company, and the whole thing was to be close to ORNL.
Yep.
They wanted to be close. So what's the advantage? What does ORNL do for me?
So I think I would say there's three things that are fundamentally important. The first one is ORNL is the home of nuclear energy, right?
Okay,
So
now I don't understand that.
It started here. So
Yeah, my dad would agree.
when you think about commercial nuclear reactors, right? The first reactor to go critical was here at Oak Ridge National Laboratory.
I have actually stood over that and looked down into it.
The graphite reactor.
The graphite, yeah.
Right?
And there's a water, I think it maybe was generated by water. I can't remember.
It was a test reactor.
Yes.
Right? So it went on out to Hanford, and they turned it into a production facility because it was actually designed to make plutonium for weapons.
Right.
But it was the first actually beginning to think about how do we use nuclear power for other things, right?
Okay.
And power generation was one of those. And, through the 50s, Oak Ridge scientists did a lot of work in all kinds of technologies. So even these new companies that you're talking about, Oranos, Kairos, that are located here, the basis for their technology, much of it is in the science that Oak Ridge developed decades ago. So they want access to the knowledge, the science that came here. The second thing is the computing power that Oak Ridge has. Most of the new technology.
So we could say unequivocally, nobody has as much
No.
domestically as Oak Ridge National Laboratory.
No, that's right. And as a result, they have really complicated things they have to do calculations on. They need that computing power.
So they send it in an envelope over here. I mean, obviously, I'm simplifying. Send it over and say, we want to make a deal with you. We'll get a contract. Please solve these problems for me. Is that how it works?
No, I think that then gets to the third reason why they want to actually be here. It's a process where they go back and forth. You use the scientific expertise that we have at the laboratory, coupled with the laboratory's computing power, coupled with the people they have in their startup companies and the goals that they're trying to do. So you end up in a partnership with one another to help really advance their technology in a much quicker way, and with the goal of getting them to commercialization as quickly as possible. Then a really cool thing happens. You get one company doing that, and you get another company doing that, and you get another company doing that. And then pretty soon they start talking to each other. So now you're creating sort of this opportunity where everybody is feeding off of each other, and it makes the innovation move so much faster. And I think that's what you're seeing here in the Oak Ridge region. That, we started out with a couple of them. They came primarily because of us. Others come for those same reasons, but now they're working with each other. So you have some producing fuel, right? What makes the reactor work? And those people are now making contracts with other people that are making reactors, right? So they're working with each other's products. And it's really beginning to mushroom. It's a fantastic thing to watch.
And there's organizations or internal, not an ETAC, but a group of people that are in that business that meet and share ideas and do things?
Yeah, and actually ETEC is probably, they're a big component of that, right? They're a connector.
Yep.
So folks, come there, you look at what UT is doing with their nuclear energy engineering.
They're working on it. They've been on the show. They're doing great.
Yeah, they're doing great. The community colleges around here are all doing
State's been
well.
on here. They have a great program for junior engineers.
Absolutely. And so all of those things now are really beginning to synergize.
We need labor.
And we need labor, and we need it trained.
Yes.
But I think everybody's recognizing that.
Yeah.
And the more companies that come here, other people now want to come here to work. So it's all feeding off of itself. We've created, I think, a very unique opportunity.
One of my
for us.
topics for tomorrow is going to be, in talking about workforce development, is going to be, you're developing a workforce while you're eliminating jobs. I mean, it's kind of a trick for me. I mean, I've read enough nationwide that basically jobs are going to go away. And we're going to get a generation of people who work less hours, do more smart work, not hard work, and it's going to get interesting to see how society changes.
So, not to be contrarian.
No, it's good to be contrarian on TV.
But when I got that PC on my desk,
Yeah.
that's what they told me. Now I just work 3 times harder, and I've got 4 computers that I'm talking to. So I don't know.
Well, it's your salary pay grade, not to be contrarian, or anybody in your work, they're going to make you work.
Yeah.
My point is, when you go out and hire people to do a certain amount of development and design, maybe you're building UPF or you're doing something else, AI does what a lot of people would have been taking a long time to do, and you don't need those people.
Well, yeah, I think, though, how I would say it, I agree. It speeds up that design process. And there are things that those designers do that AI now does better and faster. But what that allows you to do is it allows you to innovate faster, which means you create jobs that we don't even really recognize at the moment. A good example, if I was a basic computer coder coming out of school, right?
I don't think they're going to have any problem getting jobs.
No, they're
They're good.
No, they're obsolete.
Well, you're talking about coders. I get it.
AI now does all that for them.
Yes,
But somebody's got to do the AI,
that's right.
right? So the coders now just have to swap over. They got to learn some new things. They got to change a little, but there's tons of opportunity.
I'm got I've got a couple of friends, close friends, who are large CEOs, and I'll guarantee you, if the computer can do A, B, or C, there ain't gonna be as many people watching over the AI as there used to be. They're gonna streamline that labor force.
Well, I think for A, B, and C, that's right. But in the process, you create D, E, and F.
Okay.
And those are where people will go. Now, what does that mean for the workforce? Well, it means we've probably got to train the workforce differently.
That's
right?
correct.
They'll have to have different skill sets than maybe they've got now.
They're in workforce development. I get it. It's got to be a different set of development.
Yeah, I think that's right. Now,
Somebody's still got to dig holes and
well,
build
actually, it's funny. That's exactly where I was going to go. We're moving back into a phase where we actually got to build some things, right? We went a long time where we didn't build more power plants. We didn't build more infrastructure. And now we need all that. We need more power. We need more roads. We need more. And so those skills, to your point of digging holes and built, that's coming back. But it's not the same as it was before. It's now augmented with technology of some sort. It's now augmented with AI. It's augmented with computers. You know, when you dig a hole now, there's computers measuring the depth and the size and, you know, making sure. So you as a worker have to understand how all that works.
Somebody on
But
the
there's
team
still
does.
but there's still a lot of work that's got to be done. Interesting. I have a friend. He runs a community college, and he teaches students how to machine things. But what he really wants to do is teach students how to get modern machining jobs. And that means they need to know how to program code, because modern machining tools are all automated and they're all coding. If he went at his students and said, I need you to become a computer programmer, he didn't have any students interested. But if he come at his students and said, I need you to build this really cool, complex metal part on this machine, they were like all over that. And in the process, they had to do all the programming of the machine to make it work. So when they got done, they all felt like they were wonderful machinists, but he could hand them a certificate that says you're now a certified programmer for these technologies. I say all that because
I get
it's cool. There's cool jobs. You just got to present it to folks in a
cool way.
they want to do it.
Okay. So I'm looking at this I always try to go back to the suburbs and looking at what we're saying and how we're doing it. So I think, let me ask a different question.
Okay.
Oak Ridge National Laboratory, would you say AI has become a substantial part of their overall mission? I mean, is it computing evolved into where we're an AI center of the country, an AI center of the energy world?
Yeah, well,
Not just for people that are here, but recognize, you know what I'm saying?
no, yeah, no, I do. And I think the short answer to that is yes. You know, you think about what it is, Oak Ridge, what is our mission really? And our mission is to solve really complicated scientific problems. The best tools to solve those complicated problems now is AI, one of the best tools.
Yes.
And so, yeah, we use AI and are developing more sophisticated AIs to manage all of those things. The other thing that's really important about AI is that sometimes gets overlooked is the data, right? You know, if
Everybody goes to the solution and they don't go through the mechanism.
well, if you think about ChatGPT for a minute, that's the AI that's out there, right? Everybody uses. It's used all the information off the internet in order to learn, right? I think
Who owns ChatGPT?
I don't even remember.
I mean-
OpenAI is the company. Sorry,
Okay, you're right.
It
They're doing
escaped
pretty
me
well.
for a
They're
minute,
doing
and they're doing good. But you know, it learned everything off the internet. Well, there's good things on the internet. There's not so good
Sure.
things on the internet, right?
Right.
And so it has things that are not really maybe right all the time that it might come up with. On the other hand, if you use AI that's coming out of Oak Ridge National Lab, it's using our data sets from science experiments that we've run over decades. You know, we talked about the nuclear technology as an example. We got data that goes all the way back to the 40s that you can train an AI on that's now the very best information there is about nuclear technology. And now you can use that AI to help you solve, you know, how to build these new plants, how to make fusion work, right?
Coming to fusion, yeah, okay.
And so that's all now an opportunity that the lab is trying to exploit is use our data coupled with these more complicated AI tools, and that lets us solve bigger, harder problems faster.
Okay. When we come back, we're going to talk about the greatest problem that we have to solve in the nuclear world and in any world is how are we going to provide electricity to all this? Let's go. Let's take a break. Second break.
At ORNL, national security is a mission powered by science. We safeguard critical infrastructure, develop isotopes for health and defense, and protect the digital frontiers of tomorrow. In a world of emerging threats, we deliver breakthroughs for America that protect lives, systems, and the future.
America runs on power, and for nuclear power, we need enriched uranium, but almost all of it comes from overseas. In 2019, the Trump administration took action, working with Centrus to build the first new American-owned uranium enrichment plant in 70 years. And now, Centrus is ready to expand to meet our nuclear power and military needs, free from dependence on foreign suppliers. Centrus, American technology built by American workers.
This is Joe Hoagland, President of Waste Management at Energy Solutions. Nuclear power is on the rise. Energy Solutions is part of this transition and part of the solution, delivering comprehensive services and assets that support the entire nuclear life cycle. Energy Solutions is protecting and preserving the environment for generations to come.
Vision, values, and commitments.
Extraordinary teams building inspiring projects.
We live for a challenge.
We do the right thing.
Exercise the highest level of integrity and ethics.
Create a positive legacy
Through purposeful
And sustainable projects.
we take care of each other.
Safety and well-being above all.
Treat each other with the utmost respect. We succeed together.
Embrace our differences.
Seek diverse views.
And listen to understand.
foster a deep sense of belonging.
We build trust. Develop lasting one-team relationships
With our colleagues, customers, and partners.
Hold ourselves accountable
To deliver excellence.
From Oak Ridge, Tennessee, IB3 Global Solutions conducts operations around the world to enhance the U.S. national security posture and minimize radiological and nuclear threats. IB3 Global Solutions. Mission first.
At Navarro, we partner with our clients to advance technologies and deliver effective solutions for complex challenges in the nuclear, environmental, and clean energy fields.
Josh Anderson is a Republican who has fought for families across Anderson County throughout his adult life. Josh is a farmer, a husband, and a father. For 4 generations, his family has lived in Anderson County. A graduate of the University of Tennessee, Josh has served on the Anderson County Commission for 7 years and served as chairman for 3 years. Josh is a businessman who will put his experience to work for all of us. A supporter of term limits, Josh believes 2 terms as mayor is enough. Josh Anderson believes leadership starts with listening.
Welcome back. We're going to ask Joe a few questions about electricity. 32 years at TVA, he had to learn something. I don't know, came out of Utah, but now we're working. So he had to learn some things. So what is ORNL's role, Oak Ridge National Laboratory, in producing, helping people around the area produce better, more volume, cheaper electricity? How are they integrating with TVA and other businesses that are locally to make the deal better for everybody?
Well, we're a Department of Energy lab, right? So our focus is on energy.
Sure. That's broad, though. I've been in that business
absolutely.
for 20 years.
But we do a lot of things at the laboratory. So we actually help think about new technologies. We talked about that earlier, right? About the new nuclear technologies. How do we help companies create new kinds of power production? But we also have a whole group that works on the grid. Okay. How do you think about the grid? How do you manage and operate the grid? Given the fact that we need so much power now across the nation, How do we improve the grid, make it work better? How do we build more of it?
For people, we hear it all the time. Define grid.
So grid is all the lines that are outside hanging around, right? So TVA is an example. All the really big power lines you see belong to TVA, right? The small ones, like the one coming into this building, probably belongs to Oak Ridge Utilities, right? So they're the distribution companies. TVA would be what's called the transmission
But
company.
the grid is the area.
It's the whole thing.
It's the area where, not computers, but the area where we actually physically run electricity to everybody in a certain area. So this grid could be this area, that grid could be this area.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about the way I think about the grid is it's the wire that goes from the power station to your house.
Yeah.
And you know, there's several of them, right? It's not direct.
Everybody knows that.
Yeah. So, but that's the grid. It's getting bigger. It's getting more complicated. In the old days, the grid used to be, it was very linear, right? You made power at one location, you went down the wire, and it showed up at your house where you used it, right? But now we got things like solar panels, we got things like batteries, we got
batteries are big in the AI world.
They are, and so all of those things now. The grid is no longer linear. Power goes in more than one direction, right? You got things like AI, like big businesses that use a lot of power, and they use it in not always predictable ways, and that puts a lot of strain. So the lab has AI technologies. They've got experimental technologies that helps the power companies figure out how they're going to make that grid better to support things like AI data.
And you have
centers,
ORNL
those kind of
staff that is commissioned or chartered to go out and try to help these companies do that?
Oh, yeah. They work with utilities all across the country. We work a lot with TVA. We've got a great relationship with them. We even work with some of the local power companies like Oak Ridge and KUB and Electric Power Board down in Chattanooga.
Yeah, how was it? You're downtown Knoxville, the headquarters, right?
Yeah, I was.
I mean, not you, but TVA.
Yeah, TVA is.
I'm sorry. So how is Knoxville's, not that that's relevant to production, but how is Knoxville's utility rates?
Well, I mean, overall in the valley.
Yeah, I think it's pretty consistent.
Right. It's pretty low. I mean, that's one of the advantages.
People don't know what high is. See, they think low is high, but it's not.
No,
I mean,
it's not.
It's not. I mean,
you go to California and you're 10 times what we are in some cases.
Yeah.
5 times just
average,
on average.
Yeah, I think that's right. Your $300 bill would be a $1,500 to $1,800 bill out there.
I think that's right.
Especially in my house where we run 4 or 5 portable air conditioners, one huge air conditioner. We just, I mean,
that's exactly right.
My wife loves cold. I mean, that's where we're at on all of that. All right, so we put ORNL. Who else is in ORNL's? I'm beginning to see it more. It's not really a productive product. It's you're selling intelligence, you're selling knowledge, you're selling the abilities that you have that in a lot of ways nobody else in the country has.
No.
Are all the labs involved in this kind of stuff?
Oh, yeah. So you think about, I think what you said a minute ago is exactly right. I think we sell the intelligence that the scientists have, and we sell the capabilities. So, you think about the nuclear reactors, you think about the accelerators that's out here at Oak Ridge National Laboratory. Those are facilities that no one else has anywhere in the world. So if you need a problem that requires that kind of technique, you have to come to the laboratory. And the reason the laboratory is the only one that has it is because they're so expensive, they're very complicated to operate. It's not something you want everybody doing. All of the laboratories are that way. And we all have sort of complementary skills and complementary technologies that when you bring them together, it allows us to solve all kinds of problems, right? Power, going to space, drug development. I mean, I'm not sure everybody knows, but back when we were dealing with COVID, right? They were trying to figure out how are we going to make a vaccine for it. The supercomputers here figured out what the DNA structure was, so they could solve that problem.
Yeah, they came and got it done, didn't they?
Yep.
So, what other, like in California, are we not getting anything out of Livermore? Are we not getting any production out there that's helping California with their stuff?
Well, yeah, we're getting great technologies. The high prices of California electricity is not about the technology.
I didn't think it was.
It's about the policy and how you're implementing the technology.
Yeah. That's a whole nother show.
Yeah.
We'll skip over
I would
that
agree
one.
with that.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Okay, so electricity. How big is the demand in the Oak Ridge corridor? I mean, can you compare it to anything, scale it for me or anything? I mean, I sit on the outside thinking this is going to hit us someday. Our rates are going to go up.
So I don't know if I talk more broadly about the valley, right? For 10 years, we had pretty flat growth, right? Which, you know,
Yeah,
you
Don
think
talked
about
that.
after the recession, 2008, 2009, things were pretty flat for a long time. Going through COVID, it was even negative. But coming out of that, some things happened here in the South where there was a recognition of low rates, great place to live, great workforce. And so we've been growing like crazy, right? And all of that growth drives demand. So whether it's demand because we got houses, whether it's demand for these businesses, right? So we've gone from effectively no growth to, you know, a couple of % of growth every year. And when you think about the size of TVA is, you know, 3.5 gigawatts, you know, 1.5%, 2% growth. That's a lot.
Yeah, a lot,
right?
yeah.
Then you layer onto that now the fact that we've got this AI, right? And they are huge energy users.
Huge.
Right?
That's
So,
a good word.
you know, we were talking a little while ago about, you know, all the individual computers and you started hooking them together. Well, the way you used to talk about them is it was how many CPUs or GPUs were in the system.
Right.
Well, in the last few years, it's been really interesting. We don't talk about that anymore. We talk about how many megawatts of electricity they use. So do you want a data center that's 1 megawatt, or do you want a data center that's 100 megawatts? Now they're talking about data centers that are a gigawatt. That's 1,000 megawatts. To put that in perspective, one of the Watts Bar nuclear plant units down here is about 1,100 megawatts. So 1 gigawatt data center, you need that plant in order to operate it. So when you think now about the growth of all these data centers, we have to have a lot more energy capability than we've had.
And how does ORNL make that happen easier, more efficiently?
Well, it's about developing these new technologies and enabling the companies to deploy those new technologies.
Is there more than one targeted technology in the industry as a whole that deals with the AI crisis, or are there multiple strategies going on?
Multiple strategies. So first thing you have to think about is short term, right? They're talking about building these data centers in the next few years, right? Which is utility time frame is very short. So probably the primary way you're going to have to do that is with natural gas, right? You're going to build natural gas plants to run those. You know, a lot of folks want to talk about wind. They want to talk about solar. Sure, those things probably are in the mix.
2045, yeah.
But they only work when the wind blows and when the sun shines, right? Data centers work 24 hours a day,
That's correct.
7 days a week. So you're going to need that natural gas.
And we just had the controversy where TVA's trying to build a natural gas center in Middle Tennessee down there. You know, we had the country singer and all that involved. And,
Yep.
And but that's a major production. I mean, that's going to help that area.
That's right, and it's needed badly. And, you know, and TVA is also building gas plants in other locations. But following behind that, though, is nuclear, right? And nuclear actually, it's very expensive to build, but once it's built, it's cheap to operate. It lasts for a very long time. The fuel for it, you know, lasts for a very long time. And so being able to enable that new nuclear technology is really the most beneficial thing we can do as a nation to keep costs low and keep reliability high. Problem is, they take right now 10, 11, 12 years to build, and the data centers want power now.
Well, I can assure you that they're being motivated to do it a little bit quicker from Washington and from other places, but that's all. Yeah, I always say it depends whether physicists are running things or whether producers are running things, but that's me. I mean, the physicists will review and review and review. I mean, that's it.
Well, actually, that's part of...
That's their job.
No, I agree, but I think that's actually what we're trying to help with at the laboratory, right? So a perfect example of that, if you think about the licensing process with the Nuclear Regulatory
Thank
Commission.
God for the change. I saw him the other day.
Right. So that's a very long, complicated process. You know,
But they've cut it in half this year.
They have, and you can argue how much of that is needed and all that kind of stuff. At the end of the day, I personally want a nuclear power plant that's safe, So
Sure.
I think we should do that.
Yeah,
That.
makes
But
sense.
what we are doing is we're using AI tools, and we're saying, look, instead of taking 3, 4, 5 years to do this, let's use AI to help us build all of the information and the data that's needed for a regulatory review. And then let's use a different AI to come in and evaluate and make sure that it's safe. You have that AI coupled to the models and the tools we talked about earlier to evaluate the new technologies. And maybe you take that 3-year process down to 6 months, right? That cuts out lots of time, cuts out lots of money.
People
right?
don't realize it. The NRC charges for what they do.
That's exactly right.
It's not
And
a
so if you,
government
that's
thing.
right. So if you shut that down, and then we have a whole other group in the laboratory that's looking at the plant itself. How do we build it better, right? Can we make fuel that's cheaper, that lasts longer, that's easier to recycle, that's safer? Can we make parts instead of traditional forging methods? Can we use advanced manufacturing, right? So think about a 3D printer. Could we 3D print parts in a power plant, right? That also is much cheaper, quicker, easier. And so the laboratory is involved in all of that, trying to help these new companies move that process along.
I think, let's talk about the evolution of this generation of reactors. I mean, they're going from boom to boom to boom really quick. And I've been through a couple. I mean, they got the micro generator going out there at K25. Is that Radiant? I can't remember the exact
Yeah,
time.
Radiant.
Radiant's going out there, and I went to their one of the better presentations, ready to go to work tomorrow morning. Not a lot of planning. They got it going. But I mean, we're talking about backpack generators. I mean,
Yeah.
nuclear. I mean, just incredible micros. And then we got the other sizes. And how does ORNL factor into all that growth and slimline and all of that?
Well, so interesting, like, remember I said back at the beginning of our discussion, a lot of the technologies came from the laboratory, right?
Originally, yeah.
Originally. So, a very interesting one. I'm not sure how practical it was, but they even looked at, could I make a nuclear engine for an airplane, right? Now, they didn't understand a lot about radiation when they were working on this, so once they understood that more, I think that kind of went by the wayside. But the technology that's in that, the concepts that are in that, is very similar to what Radiant is using in their microreactors, right? So we have a lot of knowledge, a lot of data, a lot of information that help these folks think about, how do I take that and how do I get that to commercial? If they had to develop that all on their own, it would take them forever.
Yes.
By being able to tap into what we've got, they can move that process much faster. Same thing with, you think about the SMR technologies. Think about what Kairos is doing out here with their molten salt. Again, another technology that was developed at the laboratory. Inside that molten salt is what they call TRISO-X fuel, which is a much safer uranium source than the traditional fuel. That was all developed at Oak Ridge. And we work now with Kairos to combine those two things together. You've got companies like TRISO-X and X Energy that are building facilities also out at K25, and they're going to produce that TRISO-X fuel, which they then will in turn sell to Kairos.
Do you still have a role in helping those people?
Yeah, I mean, we're it's back to the science part. We're helping them understand when they got problems.
That's right.
How do we sort through those? How do we make it more efficient? How can we make it cheaper to produce? We're beginning to think about the back end, right? How do we recycle it? How do we deal with the fuel once you're done with it?
Interesting. Chandler, let's take one last break, and then I want to talk about fusion for a minute.
At ORNL, we advance energy technologies that keep the nation moving. Our researchers develop secure, reliable, and affordable systems, from nuclear materials to grid innovations, to fuel America's growth and resilience. Because energy isn't just about power, it's about independence, progress, and the science that makes it possible.
America runs on power, and for nuclear power, we need enriched uranium, but almost all of it comes from overseas. In 2019, the Trump administration took action, working with Centrus to build the first new American-owned uranium enrichment plant in 70 years. And now, Centrus is ready to expand to meet our nuclear power and military needs, free from dependence on foreign suppliers. Centrus, American technology built by American workers.
This is Joe Hoagland, President of Waste Management at Energy Solutions. Nuclear power is on the rise. Energy Solutions is part of this transition and part of the solution, delivering comprehensive services and assets that support the entire nuclear life cycle. Energy Solutions is protecting and preserving the environment for generations to come.
Vision, values, and commitments.
Extraordinary teams building inspiring projects.
We live for a challenge.
We do the right thing.
Exercise the highest level of integrity and ethics.
Create a positive legacy
through purposeful
and sustainable projects.
We take care of each other.
Safety and well-being above all.
Treat each other with the utmost respect.
We succeed together.
Embrace our differences.
Seek diverse views.
And listen to understand.
Foster a deep sense of belonging.
We build trust. Develop lasting one-team relationships
with our colleagues, customers, and partners.
Hold ourselves accountable
to deliver excellence.
From Oak Ridge, Tennessee, IB3 Global Solutions conducts operations around the world to enhance the U.S. national security posture and minimize radiological and nuclear threats. IB3 Global Solutions. Mission first.
At Navarro, we partner with our clients to advance technologies and deliver effective solutions for complex challenges in the nuclear, environmental, and clean energy fields.
Josh Anderson is a Republican who has fought for families across Anderson County throughout his adult life. Josh is a farmer, a husband, and a father. For 4 generations, his family has lived in Anderson County. A graduate of the University of Tennessee, Josh has served on the Anderson County Commission for 7 years and served as chairman for 3 years. Josh is a businessman who will put his experience to work for all of us. A supporter of term limits, Josh believes 2 terms as mayor is enough. Josh Anderson believes leadership starts with listening.
Welcome back. We're in our final segment. We got about 8 minutes till we close out. I want to talk a little bit about our Oak Ridge National Laboratory is involved in is a leader in so many things. And fusion is, you were talking to me during the break, explain some basic conceptual differences between fusion and fission. Fission's been the process by which uranium has worked forever, and it's you split the atom, right? I mean, fusion, you're coming in, is it?
Yeah, I mean, in fission, right, you think about uranium. Simplest way to think about it is the uranium falls apart. It makes other things, and when it falls apart, a lot of energy comes out of that. In fusion, it's the opposite. You take 2 really small atoms, hydrogen, and you slam them together, and when you do, they create something new. And when they create something new, energy comes out of it. It's basically how the sun works, right? And sun, as you know, produces a lot of energy. Fusion's kind of always been the holy grail, because when you think about
perceptually unattainable,
but
we're getting closer.
And the reason is because there is so much energy potential, and it's so much safer, right? In the case of uranium,
worth pursuing.
And now the sort of joke that you always hear everybody talk about is, well, fusion is 50 years away. And I've been working in this area for 30 years, and the joke still, it's 50 years away.
Yeah.
Well, that's changing. There's a couple of very important things that have changed recently. One is back to the computers. We now have supercomputers. We now have the AI that can actually do the calculations on the really complicated math that goes into how to make fusion work. So now we can actually understand what the challenges and the problems are in a way we never could before. That's allowing a lot of innovation. Second thing that's changed is there's now money. There forever.
Money. Yeah,
there's never been any money.
I'll give you one quick story I think is worthwhile. Cystic fibrosis, they've never been able to isolate the gene over all these years. AIDS, same kind of challenge. Solved it in 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Billions versus a few million.
So
money gets you there quick.
And so the government's putting more money into fusion, but now private investors are putting a lot of money in fusion. They are funding a lot of startup companies.
Yeah, I think the big 7 are into it.
Yeah. So they're now allowing great innovation in this space. The laboratory is still got a really important role to play, though, however, because when you think about the energy of the sun, I got to contain that. I got to have materials that don't fall apart when you do that. With all the different capabilities we've been talking about, the laboratory's in a unique position to help solve that problem, right? They also have to have fuel. They use what's called tritium, which is a heavy hydrogen. There's not much tritium around in the world. So you have to have a way to produce that and produce it reliably. Labs helping them think through how you do that. Just like anything else, there's an exhaust that comes out of it. It's all that heat, all that energy coming out. You got to manage that, right? And so the lab is working with all the companies to try to solve some of those fundamental problems. And then these startup companies are moving as fast as they can to put pilot plants on the ground so we can really learn from real solid technology.
Let me ask you this, and just to kind of crunch everything into time. Fusion goes boom. I can make a nuclear bomb with fusion too, right?
Yep.
Okay, so I mean, it has a chance to be significant in our weapons industry if
Yep.
we can develop it faster.
Yep.
Okay, that's all I need to know is that there's a compatible thing. Most of my work is on the production side. I mean, my consulting work's on the production side, my energy support side. Let's talk about Venezuela for a second. I mean, just off the charts, just me and you, we're kicking around a little bit. How much AI was involved in that helicopters driving in there so efficiently, getting the job done and getting out of there? Is the equipment, now actually I'm asking questions that are a little bit, I already know the answers to a lot of them. But the bottom line is that isn't the battle for superiority in the defense world and countries, isn't it really boiling down to technology in the AI industry and those things?
Yeah, it is. But I would actually say one component to that is the data, right? So you think about a situation like Venezuela. You've got satellite data, you've got data on the ground from all kinds of different sources, and there's tons and tons of it. You need to be able to compress that data down in a way that then the people executing the operation can understand what they need to do, be able to make decisions, and be able to make those decisions in real time. And that, so yes, that technology has to be there and probably was.
So whether you're a
employed to do
Palantir or
that.
somebody else involved in defense, or whoever, and I'm not trying to advertise for anybody, they've got a way to develop all of that. The technology changes every 3 months, every 4 months. And I think the president's angle on the whole increase in the defense budget is to keep us far ahead of everybody else in those areas.
Oh, absolutely. I think the technology is needed for security. The technology is also needed for competitiveness, right?
That's right.
You get behind in the competitive space.
You're in trouble.
And you're in trouble.
Yeah, and it's becoming, war is changing in defense and everything else, and I think AI is playing a bigger role in all. That's the only reason I bring it up. We have no interest in the defense commentary. We're just saying that AI plays a role in everything, and Oak Ridge National Laboratory plays a role in developing a lot of that technology too.
Yeah, I think those technologies, like I said, all the satellite data, we do a lot with how do you take what's called GIS data, geospatial data, and how do you synthesize that so somebody can make a decision quickly. And AI is a big part of that. In real time.
That's right. That's exactly right. You've been great. I mean, I've learned a lot, really. It's
been a great conversation.
That's all we can do. Let people try to understand what we're doing and understand, most importantly, how important Oak Ridge National Laboratory has been to all of these discussions.
Oh yeah, it's a wonderful national asset.
Oh.
It's my second career, and it's a fantastic place to be.
And you come with the experience that's needed at this time. All that electrical, I mean, that's becoming the whole challenges to everything. I mean, you can only build so many batteries.
Yep,
I mean, you got to figure out what you're going to do and where you're going to go. And anything exciting on the horizon that we need 15 seconds to tell me about?
We're just going to keep growing the technologies. I mean, and that's going to grow the area, which I think, to me, is the really cool part.
I think you guys are doing a great job, and I'm looking forward to all the shows. I think you're the pride and joy of East Tennessee in terms of labs and stuff. I appreciate you coming on. We'll be back next Thursday. So